well, look, thanks for that. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. That's carried. Next one, Council submission on Local Government New Zealand's Blue Skies discussion paper on resource management system. This is not one that requires this is not one that requires a decision about, you know, being represented. An input into the Local Government New Zealand's discussion on resource management, and has a particular focus on the areas of continued improvement of the system, improving the clarity of the core statutes within the resource management system and moving beyond evolution. So would someone like to move that? David, seconded by Bill. Is there any discussion? I'll put that in Richard! Yes. You don't want us to do it. Don't do it.
Sorry to jump in. I just did want to raise one matter, and it's to do with the council submitted on the Resource Legislation Amendment Bill, and that went in some time ago, but as you'll be aware, the Canterbury Mayoral Forum was also seeking to lodge a submission on that. And what you'll find in your report is a copy of the placeholder submission from the Canterbury Mayoral Forum. And yesterday I circulated to you a copy of the final submission on behalf of them. Now that submission is consistent with what we have said as a council, and I realise it's too late, it only came in yesterday and it's too late to get any kind of formal endorsement, but I really just wanted to daylight that with you, and I will have to bring it back to you at a later date to get retrospective approval. So it's just a matter of timing and the way that the organisations function, that we only were in receipt of that yesterday. So I did circulate a copy to you, but I appreciate you probably haven't had the time to peruse it, given you're in the middle of everything. So
can we just then note the submissions lodged by the Urban Development Strategy Implementation Committee and the Canterbury Mayoral Forum attachments, and the Canterbury Mayoral Forum on a placeholder basis. Theirs is just put in on a placeholder.
there was a placeholder that formed part of the report that came to you. The formal submission I sent to you yesterday, and we only received it yesterday.
Note that a further report on the formal submission of the Canterbury, so a separate three. Note that a further report on the finalised Canterbury Mayoral Forum submission will be provided in due course. Yeah?
Yep. I think that's all we can do, given we only received it. But their intention is to put it in today, so I will need to therefore seek retrospective approval from yourselves for it. Yeah. But it is consistent with what we were saying on that matter.
Yanni.
I just wanted to clarify, I guess, whether or not you think we've made sufficient comment on the right for people to be notified, because I mean, given what's been happening, and we've probably seen it through things like the statement of expectations, the decision-making framework around giving people actually the right to be notified and participate in planning. And I think there was some sort of small reference around that on page 2 or page 127, but it doesn't really specifically talk about notification. And I again was kind of concerned with the UDS one that again didn't seem to really pick up on the rights for people to be involved, particularly where they're affected.
That's on a different. That's on the Productivity Commission's inquiry. Yeah. They're all asking for slightly different things, Yanni, and it has been a little bit challenging having these three things all happening at the same time. But what does Local Government New Zealand actually do with this? But they are going to produce. They'll produce a document around the feedback from local government throughout New Zealand, and then it'll feed into the government processes. So I mean, it's probably not a biggie, but I wouldn't have any objection to.
If you look on page 2, my concern's really at that top where it says the council supports the proposed STEP program of reform. And it just doesn't really capture.
Yeah, but it's the alternative to a massive rewrite from day one, because what they're looking at is do you start from scratch or is it organic? So we're supporting the organic approach.
Right.
Yeah, rather than let's start all over again.
That's on step 3.
So just having something in there that made reference to supporting the provisions that actually enable people to participate and be informed or be notified, because that's really the direction where it's been going. All the little step changes to the RMA have been to remove people's right to participate and really have a hands-off approach to planning. And I just thought it would be good to have something in there that just made reference to that.
Can we add in a line, maybe at that in that introductory paragraph on that page 2, basically saying the council supports community participation in planning that affects their local community, something along those lines. So it's. I mean, the thing is that
property too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be okay. Something along those lines that just has a phrasing around community participation, because we know that having a more participatory approach to planning is something we're not really experiencing at the moment.
We know a lot about it.
If it helps, there is on page 3, the very last line and under step 2, a comment which says, however, the council would be concerned with the extent to which the suggested suite of new provisions may include mandatory plan provisions or reduce submission or appeal rights. So there's a fairly clear steer there that the council is seeking to retain the ability for people to make submissions and to lodge appeals.
I think it's wider. To me, it's wider than that. It's basically the professionalisation of planning has meant that, and the lack of notification has meant that people can't participate. So even if you've got a submissions process like we've seen with the hearings panel, there's a lack of resources and capacity at a individual level to really meaningfully participate in those processes, alongside the lack of notification. So people that can afford to appeal to the High Court to do a judicial review of notification can, but actually people that are directly affected sometimes won't even have that opportunity. So I personally like the Mayor's suggestion that kind of just made the point that actually community participation in planning is actually a really important principle, and any reforms should take into account the need for people to be notified and participate.
We've got those words and we can add them into the submission and lodge it accordingly.
Okay.
I just wonder as well, in the section on page 2, about halfway down, we've talked about the valuing the nation's natural capital, and I just wonder if we should extend that a bit. Like, surely the Resource Management Act is about ensuring that things like groundwater and natural resources are actually retained, and that's key to the whole Resource Management Act, rather than what we've seen with the statement of expectation that development is key at all costs, no matter what the environmental cost. I just wonder if we could extend that a bit.
Yes, we can add those words in if...
Yeah, that phrase, maintaining them in perpetuity, would be also provide significant economic benefits. Seems like there's some words missing because it isn't a sentence that makes sense. Maintaining them in perpetuity would also provide significant intergenerational benefits. I mean, it's not just economic benefits, it's
environmental too.
It's environmental, social, economic,
Health.
Cultural.
yeah, well-being. You see that one, that phrase?
We've got that.
Is that all right? All right. So we have a mover and a seconder, so I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. That's carried. Item number 17, proposed stopping of Legal Road, Avon Heath and
Can I say
Casey.
though, that there's a lot of work for us, and I just want to say, we know that staff do some really, really good
Oh,
submission work.
no, they do.
And, you know, we appreciate that, and while we can fine tune and add bits when we're in a hurry with our annual plan, I know
Oh,
Mayor and
and we
councillors
did
do
put staff
appreciate
under
that.
pressure